This is Saint Pepsi. You're listening to FutureSounds FM.
You're listening to FutureSounds Season 4, Episode 2. Happy New Year. I'm joined by Enzo, normally on hosting duties, but busy copying and pasting things onto WhatsApp. Also joined by Patrick Fakeman and
good evening, Mr.
Rob Dyson as well.
Evening.
I didn't just copy and paste. I also had to select, refine, and choose. There's important distinctions to be made. It is a big job.
Selecting your microphone as an output as well.
There was a bit of that.
All right.
I'm not sure how that even works. Microphone as an output.
Look, I'm not the most tech. I'm not here for my tech support. I'm here for my ideas.
I'm just amazed that's even an option, right? What's that like? The sound's just gonna like come out of your microphone and like blast you in the face, like what?
Okay, we've all had this, right? When you wake up and suddenly you've got to do something, you feel under pressure and you don't even know how to like turn on a tap. Like
you've just woken up.
I was trying to. Okay, we've gone on. Come on, episode time. I can't defend the indefensible. I felt under pressure. I had loads to do to catch up, and
so we've started off the pod with a shit metaphor. Is that what we're saying?
Oh, you didn't even let me finish it. It might have been brilliant.
All right, how's everyone doing? Enzo, how are you?
I'm really good. Glad to get the kids back to school though. Hand the kids over to someone who can finally put some discipline back in them. Because after 2 weeks. 2 weeks of playing, I no longer have any authority, and it sounds like I've lost all authority with you guys as well. So this is the story of my life.
No.
Yeah, but otherwise great.
Nice one. What about you, Fakeman?
Yeah, all good. Thankfully, Christmas is out of the way. It wasn't terrible, but in-laws and people getting sick and outlaws and. Yeah, nice to get some routine. Let's just put it that way. Nice to get a bit of routine.
Nice one. This included start of the year.
Yeah, start of the year.
Getting the podcast out.
Like, with moving house and everything, I've not been on the pod for 5 months.
Oof.
Blimey,
right. Similar story for you, Dyson, I think.
It is. I don't know why, but I haven't made it time and time again. So it's really lovely to be back. And yeah, I was back at work today as well. So it really is back to normal. Ugh. But not.
We had a sort of like a little kind of homeopathic amount of snow today as well.
Yes, we
did. A little sprinkling.
Yeah.
A little. Didn't really settle.
It's enough to get us excited though. We'll take what we can get,
We've had quite a bit here. We've had a nice sprinkling, enough that when I opened up the curtains this morning, it was festive. And whilst I'm over the whole festive thing, it was very pretty indeed.
But you live in like a chocolate box illustration, don't you? Like a picture postcard.
Yes, I do now. Yes, I live in a shortbread tin. Yes.
Yeah,
like why it's so echoey in here.
No, you live in a house.
Grok, please generate an English village, please.
Yeah.
Here's Larby with his Arga or whatever.
It's like that Christmas film, The Holiday, when she comes over to England to stay in a cliched like Cotswolds cottage.
In Jude Law's gaff or whatever, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's a bit like that. I have to run the Wi-Fi off a little manual thing that I keep turning like a screw just to keep it up and running.
Hamster in a wheel.
That's the one.
Nice.
There's some artistic license here because you were telling us that you've actually got very good Wi-Fi and that in South London it was terrible.
The Wi-Fi here compared to London is shit hot. I'm super happy. Yes. He says now, and when it all crashes in 10 minutes.
You were up the road from me, and I've got terrible Wi-Fi, so I believe it.
I think that this is what they want. They don't want an episode about the classics
is good content
of Vaporwave. They want us to talk about the relative strength of our Wi-Fi signal in different parts of the United Kingdom. We could do a breakdown based on population density, that kind of thing.
Exactly that.
We have had previous episodes that we've had, or like other recent episodes, we've had Americans and Europeans sort of kind of making this a bit more, making it like a little less parochial and but normality is resumed.
Good stuff.
Well, I'd say I think it's nice because as many will know, the FutureSounds family has expanded quite significantly. So it's nice to get some new voices. It's nice to get some opinions that aren't just our antiquated opinions on all things music. So exactly. But so I am enjoying. I'm enjoying the European and American flavour.
Yeah, we'll have some voice notes from them. We've got some guests in this one because we've been teasing it for a while. It's obviously we're going to look at the all-time classics of the Vaporwave genre as perceived by us, but also with some special voice notes from guests and some of the other guys in the group in the FutureSounds team who couldn't get online tonight. So there's going to be a wide range of people, but we'll kind of come back to that in a minute. I suppose we should just really catch up as well quickly. Like Stranger Things, anyone? No spoilers, please.
Yes,
but
completed
people
it,
who haven't seen it yet. Yeah. But did you feel good? Did you feel good, or did you feel underwhelmed? There's a bit of a mixed feeling I'm sensing from people.
It started off a bit, as I said to you on the group, like slightly over inflated. There was a lot of action, but I appreciate it was kind of mid-season. But I was very satisfied with the finale. No spoilers.
See, that gives me some hope because I have openly said to people that I've found Stranger Things over the past few years to be a little bit lackluster compared to maybe how it was in the early days. And the fact that you, Rob, found the ending to be satisfactory, and I've not even started. I've done one episode of the latest season, so I've got loads to go. But I'm
pushed through
buoyed by your positivity.
I'm a happy clapper though. I'm a happy clapper, and I was just so glad to feel the energy come back to it. Like, it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination, but I really enjoyed spending the last couple of weeks back with full immersion in that world. And the way they tied it up, it kind of brought back the feeling I had the first time. Like, everyone who says that the seasons kind of declined, you got diminishing returns each season. There's probably a fair point in that, but I don't know, in some ways, like the way you felt about it the first time you saw it could never have been replicated throughout. Like, they grew up, you grew up, you'd been in that world of nostalgia already, and it was just kind of rekindling bits of that feeling. I think it kind of almost got me back to feeling how I did the first time I watched it, which is quite made me feel good about it. I really was excited when the finale came out, and I was happy at the end.
It's a bit like a music genre starting off with such promise, and then as the years go by, you finding it challenging, and then you come back to it after a while, and you realise the things you may have missed or the quality that has resurfaced. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that also ties into this, doesn't it? This whole episode we're doing about classics, because it was kickstarted by someone making a point in a big thread about this in Reddit that there hadn't been a classic in the Vaporwave genre for years. Like, where are the modern classics? The genre's dead because nothing great is being produced now, and you can take issue with that. We'll challenge it. We'll discuss it. But I think it's the same.
That was a great segue, by the way.
It's kind of the same.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a great segue. Yeah. You just killed the momentum, Rob. Well done.
It'll come out of the edit.
He's helping it along. He's saving me some edit time. I'm grateful.
Yeah,
that's okay.
Well, you can see the cut points by someone's voice raising with a little bit of anger there. Just look at the waveform for places to cut. Thom, have you seen it? Do you care? How do you feel about it?
I haven't seen a single episode of Stranger Things in my life.
What?
Call yourself a synthwave vaporwave person.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't like synthwave.
No.
Fair enough.
That's why he's never on the synthwave episodes.
Oh, I did caveat it with Vaporwave.
Yeah.
It features, spoiler alert, there's a bit of Stranger Things in Nobody Here.
There is?
Well, I hear there's a lot of Prince in the last episode. I'm a big Prince fan. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
There is some Prince, correct.
Sort of rare time that the estate has let his music be used in a TV show. It's a bit like when Mad Men managed to get the Beatles on their soundtrack. It's a rare victory for the sort of music licenses.
They gave permission for something else very recently, the Beatles. I'm trying to think what it was now. I can't remember exactly. That's great podcasting, that. Let me just Google it.
Maybe that stupid film where everyone's forgotten the Beatles songs.
Oh, yesterday. Yeah.
I watched Nowhere Boy over Christmas. That was quite nice. It's a 2009 film. Kind of focuses on his life as a teenager when he's living with Aunt Mimi.
Is it Nowhere Boy?
Yeah, I loved it. I thought
that's John Lennon, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a nice little move. That's where they met, isn't it? The director and the young actor.
That's right.
Yeah. Can't remember their names either. This is great content.
That kick-started age gap discourse, didn't it?
I was trading clear of that. See, I thought that would be me, just like me, to put my big size 9s in on a subject like that. But no, Tom's done it. Well done, Tom.
I'm going to cut. Whatever that was, I'm going to cut.
And we're back. Subscribe to NordVPN. Right.
Oh dear.
Shall we kick on to the main topic of the evening?
Yeah.
Yes. Let's do it.
Before we start, spoiler alert, between us, we're not going to come up with every album, and there's going to be people listening to this episode who are going, what the fuck? They've gone through a Classics of Vaporwave episode and they haven't mentioned this album or that album. Yes, we are. The only confirm we've done is just before the call so that we make sure we're not kind of picking the same albums, so there's a little bit of a kind of different take from everyone. But we're picking the albums that are special to us in 3 different categories. So the way we've broken it down, the whole conversation was prompted by this idea that there hadn't been a classic in the modern era of Vaporwave. So we've got 3 sections. One is a modern classic, where we're going to try and dispel that and make the case for some more recent albums being worthy of the title classic, modern classic. We're going to look at the OG classics. We'll each pick 1, maybe 2 in some cases of those. And then we're going to kind of go for a cult classic or a left field take. And between us, we'll also have some voice notes and stuff, but we're going to we're going to do a little bit of background on each album and get to the nuts of what we think are the classics of Vaporwave. And there's some comments from listeners as well, which are great, and we're going to read out a few of those. So thanks for taking part in the episode. It's probably our most interactive one we've done. We had about 40 comments. We haven't managed to get everyone in, but thank you anyway, and we hope you enjoy it. So I don't know what you guys want to do, if you want to kick off with the OG classics and then we'll go on to the modern classics.
Let's do it. FutureSounds.
Yeah, insert the sting.
No need.
No need. Done.
Rob, why don't you go first? Give us your OG classic.
Okay, well I picked Saint Pepsi Hit Vibes 2013 because, it's from the opening of Have Faith, declaring with the ultimate sass, it's Saint Pepsi, bitch. This early future funk of Vaporwave album from a scene pioneer became a huge favourite and influence on what would follow. It's mostly upbeat, it's funky as fuck. The samples are like disco, smooth groove, pretty soul driven, set on party mode. But there are a couple of melancholic moments, such as tracks Together and I Tried and Miss You. But it's a bona fide classic, I think we all agree, from its cover aesthetic, kind of 80s abstract shapes with some VHS inflections, Memphis, to its sonic influence. Is it Memphis? It kind of is.
Kind of.
It kind of is. Yeah, it leans into that. I think Memphis is slightly different aesthetic, but and I've always preferred Pepsi to Coke, but yeah, Saint Pepsi Hit Vibes 2013 classic pick from the Dyson.
Yeah, I was going to pick that, so I'm glad someone else did, because I was really toying over the 2 albums I was going to pick. My favourite thing about this album, because this was the first one I think I fell in love with as well, Hit Vibes, was when we went to Electronicon, me and my brother, and we ended up spending the night before Econ. We went over to Saint Pepsi's house because we had to give him some test pressings he was selling on the merch table, and we had this just kind of weird experience meeting him in person for the first time. He'd sorted us out tickets for the show, and nice. He was just sat there, we were just hanging out with him and some of his housemates. It was just a really nice vibe, and he came down, he said, I've got something for you, and he gave me a red copy of Hit Vibes, one of the rarer ones. And it was just
nice.
Yeah, it's a treasured record for me because I'd fallen in love with it anyway. I still put it on every day. Every week. Let's say. Not every day, but I play it all the time. It's an absolute go-to. And interestingly, I think people like Macross 8299, for example, when we were interviewing them for the film, they said that was the album that for them and for many other people making future funk, that was the one that kind of invented or presaged that genre and made them want to make tunes and take their own disco influences and make it more fun rather than making it kind of because a lot of it was sort of sounded quite.
You want to dance to it. You want to kind of get off your.
It wasn't making a political statement about anything. It was just a kind of the raw feeling of positive nostalgia, as opposed to like any kind of statement on capitalism. If those artists were even intending that.
If you subscribe to that, yeah. I think there's a comment on Bandcamp saying like it just sounds like a holiday, or it just sounds like the summer, and that's
house party in the
accurate.
summer. Yeah, it's awesome.
What about you guys?
Yeah, Tom, do you want to pick yours? Have you got any feelings about hip vibes? It's probably not your favourite type of vaporwave, right?
It's not what I like. Springs to mind instantly when I'm thinking about vaporwave, but when we've seen Saint Pepsi playing live, their energy's been like absolutely amazing, and those records capture that as well, or his live performances capture the kind of essence of those records as well.
I think that was the point. That was the point I was going to make. I think because I'm a future funk guy, so on first discovering that album, it was magic, and then I think it was Enzo. I think it was Electronicon 2 when I think me, you, and Jay were watching his set, and we just queued 3 hours for a hot dog. And he then just started, and like as you say, Tom, he'd thrown some tracks in from that album in the set. Just absolutely incredible evening. So that album's always had a kind of a special place in my heart when it's come.
If I hear Better played out loud in public, that's that's life affirming to me. Like, I had no energy at that point. We were famished. We were absolutely fucking starving. And it was a boiling day, and we'd been there for most of the day at this point. We were exhausted. And then just Saint Pepsi came on, and I just didn't care. Like, I crashed as soon as I got back to the apartment, but it was just, I
imagine hearing it live would be wicked. Yeah.
Better
Around and Cherry Pepsi, I'll put some standouts from that album.
For sure.
Yeah, I think the only reason I say that it's not what springs to mind when I think about vaporwave is that it's incredibly punchy and
it's not
energetic and upbeat.
Diana Ross.
Yeah, and my classic pick would be Shrines by Infinity Frequencies, which is the exact opposite, really. It's incredibly smeary and staticky, and it's not sort of party music to be played on big speakers. It's sort of kind of hissy, music to be played on tiny TV speakers. It all sounds kind of very self-contained, like it's sort of, most of the samples come from Weather Channel and kind of 90s TV broadcasts and stuff, and it just really makes you think about sort of tinny sounds emanating from some kind of crappy 90s CRT screen.
Very cozy.
Yeah,
and nostalgic rather than party time.
Yeah, but also quite unsettling.
Yeah.
It makes me think about
David
my childhood.
Lynch movie.
Yeah, it's exactly that kind of accessing memories. I had a nice childhood, but I still feel a little bit odd when I sort of time travel back in my mind back there. There's something kind of quite sort of strange about doing that, and this
Christmas
this kind of vaporwave. Yeah, I think so as well. Kind of bittersweet stuff, kind of literally, nostalgia is the perfect word, isn't it? Because it's not just like, oh, wasn't it great being young? There's an element of that, but it's also like, it's all quite strange. Diving back in time,
eeriness.
And I think, this kind of music absolutely encapsulates that for me.
Nice pick. We will include links to all of these albums, and we'll probably put together some kind of playlist or mix, which we'll put on the FutureSounds Bandcamp in the next couple of weeks, so you can check that out as well. How about you, Fakeman?
Interestingly, so I think two very different picks. I'm probably going to go along more the route of Tom's pick, because I've picked Echo Jams. And I was thinking about this earlier on today in terms of why. And there's two reasons why. Number one, it was for me when kind of discovering this genre and really wanting to deep dive into some challenging vaporwave. That's the album that springs to mind. But when I was thinking about it today, I've got a bootleg copy upstairs on vinyl, and I play it quite regularly. And whenever I play it, it always feels a bit like you're on a car journey and you've got like your favorite mixtape in the cassette player, but suddenly that cassette player starts breaking, and the further you go down the road, the worse it gets. So like, you start off the journey and you can recognize the tracks, right? You understand the samples that are being used. It takes you back because they're tracks that are your favorites and what you've really enjoyed. But as you get through the album, those things that start sounding familiar, you start hearing them like in a completely different way. It's stretching out. Those sections are repeating. They're slowed down. They're looped, and suddenly those songs don't feel as comforting as you remember them being from your childhood or your kind of late teens or your early adulthood. So they feel strange. And to your point, Thom, they then become quite unsettling. These tracks that you know and you love have become something the complete opposite. And I think that's what I love about that album, because it makes you think twice about the songs that are your comfort blanket. And I think that's what makes it incredibly clever.
Yeah.
And that way that it forces you to kind of listen differently, not just to like the tracks themselves, but again, Thom, you've kind of hit the nail on the head. Makes you think about the memories you've got linked to those songs in a different kind of way too. And I think that's why it's so cool and so smart. And I think that's why it's iconic. It's that for me, it's that starting point from Vaporwave, and it takes that familiar music and just makes it completely unfamiliar. And I think that's why it was an easy pick for me.
Nice. It makes you you become an unreliable narrator of your own story with the right music.
Question everything. You question everything that has come before.
I think what he said about it, I know Thom shared that clip the other day that he was interviewed for some podcast, and he was asked about Vaporwave and this album, and I think he made the point that it's kind of your relationship with a song, that there's a part of that song that you really like, but it's actually a really horrible, crap, cheesy song, Nobody Here. And he's taken this one line and he's looped it to within an inch of its life, to the point where, like, not only has it kind of indirectly spawned a whole genre of music, but it's kind of proven that your relationship with just a very small phrase can be more important than the actual song as constructed by, Chris de Burgh. Fuck Chris de Burgh.
I hated Lady in Red.
I hate it. I still hate it now. I think it's a shit tune.
Yeah.
When I hear it,
but everything that's come from it.
When I hear that song, I think about Nobody Here. I don't think about... I think about Daniel Lopatin. I think about Echo Jams. I don't think about Chris de Burgh. Fuck Chris de Burgh. Like,
on top
musically.
of the pops.
Like,
with a really shit haircut.
No, that's a terrible time for me to be saying this. Can we cut that out? I feel like I've gone in really hard on Chris de Burgh and he's just passed away. Thank you,
We wanted
Chris
to get in touch with him for the movie as well, didn't we?
Yeah.
That would have been good, actually.
All right, Thom here from the edit. This is all staying in because I think Enzo's got confused between Chris de Burgh and Chris Rea, so it stays in, as you were.
I wonder what he would have thought of someone taking just one part of his track and kind of, like making you stay there, stay in that moment. I shouldn't think anyone's had any fucking royalties from anything.
No, true.
Okay?
No.
It's only Young Bay who has his tracks cleared by major labels. Let's be real about it. But yeah. I mean, this one's a classic because it could be argued that it spawned the genre in its entirety. So it's a bona fide, has to be included. We'd be caned for not including it. And it's also a good listen.
And I think that's the thing, because I didn't want to not include it, but I also felt, was it a lazy choice? And then as I was thinking about it, actually, it's not a lazy choice. It's a great choice. And I think, like you say, not mentioning it would have been foolish. And I think we've one of our listeners, I think it's Reneni.
Yeah.
He'd also they had also said Echo Jams. I believe he's from a Spanish.
I think he's Chile. I think he may be from Chile.
Chilean.
Yeah, I think so.
Un clásico de clásicos.
Lovely pronunciation.
Thank you. So how about you, Vinny?
I was going to go for Hit Vibes or Death's Dynamic Shrouds, I'll Try Living Like This. And in the end, I was glad that Rob picked Hit Vibes because I still got to contribute on that. But I kind of felt that it was important that we picked this one too, because I think it's a true classic. It's not an OG album in the sense that it's looped slow jams or 80s music. It kind of crystallized the exact moment when the genre transcended raw nostalgia and kind of became something a bit more architecturally ambitious, if that makes sense. It wasn't about looping slow jams or muzak or tunes from corporate training videos. It was kind of forward thinking. And it's definitely emotionally unstable. I know that's how I feel when I listen to it anyway. But it kind of just elevated the whole process of making Vaporwave. And when we were doing the documentary, we spoke to Adam Harper, the author of that article, who described Vaporwave as the first genre where you could make an album quicker than the time it takes to listen to it, like technically speaking at least.
Yeah.
But I think this album is possibly where that changed. Like, this is less about looping and copy, Control V. Like, this is less about looping and more about treating the genre as like an exercise in composition, like hyper detailed loops, dense layering, abrupt cuts. Like, this album's like mirrors my experience of late internet life, of being bombarded with like 24-hour news cycles, like constantly being bombarded with information, but swap that for a constant barrage of new ideas and abrupt changes in the tracks. Like, it's quite invasive a listen. It's beautiful to listen to at times, but it's also a challenging listen elsewhere. But I just think it's an amazing album.
Multiple tabs open.
Yes, exactly that feeling. And I kind of think this album is so important because it proved that Vaporwave isn't just about melancholy, about late stage capitalism and advertising. This is like music that is elevated in its construction. It's like, it's a challenge, but it's still got beauty in that fucking chaos, if that makes sense.
There was some good variety of picks. Covered a lot of bases.
Yeah, well, I think we should. I've got a couple of comments as well, because I know Larby's picked one of them there. I just want to pick out. So Suop wrote in to us to say his pick for OG, or their pick for OG Classic would be Floral Shop. I think that's another one we could easily have gone for. It's not an original pick, but it really brought me into Vaporwave. I got hooked on the first few tracks when I listened to it. And it really made an impression on me. But also massive OG picks would be Nouveau Life by New World, Deep Fantasy by Surfing, and Atmosphere 1 by Echo Virtual. So, and I think the one other one as well, because this is someone who's kind of does fall by the wayside a little bit. It's quite underrated, but would definitely be classed as an OG. Tom Post Jerry said Reflections by Skeleton has to be the most underrated Vaporwave album out there. I never hear anyone talk about it anywhere. No other record executes the strange 80s and 90s R&B vignettes idea so well. So, thank you to both of them for their comments, and I think those are great picks.
Oh, shall I jump in with a couple of readers?
Yeah, if you've got some classics ones, if you've got the OG classics with you, and then we'll go to, I think we've got a few voice notes, so we can go into a couple of them quickly before we skip into the modern classics.
Well, props to Yeetus, who said 2814, Birth of a New Day. He said it's like an undeniable aura. He says it really changed the game, ambient vaporwave done right. And he's thrown in Dan Mason, Miami Virtual as well, which he says is his first ever physical vaporwave by about 10 years ago. He says it embodies the genre in every way, and it kick-started his obsession. Their obsession. I don't know if Yeetus is male or female.
On that as well, though, I think someone that hasn't been mentioned yet, Armani Music 329 came out with World Class by Luxury Elite. They say it's my personal gold standard for Vaporwave, and for many others, I'm sure. A very consistent album, no fillers, still holds up 10 years later. Couldn't agree more.
That's my number 2, and I think we're going to hear Jay may well mention it in his voice note as well.
He may do, yes.
But I think we've also got a voice note from no other than Mr. Saint Pepsi, who has picked Luxury Elite as one of theirs. He insisted on 2 picks. I tried to narrow him down for 1, but he had a pretty good reason, as I'm sure you'll agree when you hear it now.
So my 2 essential Vaporwave albums, and I have to pick 2 because I can't just stick to one. These 2 records are both extremely formative for me, and I go back to them even to this day. There would be no Saint Pepsi without both of them. So the first I'm going to talk about is Dreams West's Dreams West, which I think is a very unheralded masterpiece. I borrowed a lot of sound signatures from Dreams West. It was some of the first Vaporwave I heard where filters were used very greatly throughout the album. And it was one of the records where I didn't recognize a lot of the source material at the time. So it really opened me up to a whole world of music I would have never thought to listen to, let alone sample. But I also really loved just the feeling that you would get when a low-pass filter gets turned on halfway through a beat and you feel like you're outside the club for 2 seconds and then right back into it. It took a lot of the sound signatures from chill wave and French house and, it translated them into the world of vaporwave that I was familiar with, where the source material is a little garbled and maybe sourced from YouTube or what have you. So I would definitely say that record was the genesis for what I ended up doing on World Tour or Late Night Delight. And on that topic, I have to shout out Luxury Elites 3, which for completely different reasons, also just as formative for my understanding of the vaporwave genre, where before Lux, my familiarity with the vaporwave scene was really relegated to Vectroid and what she did with Floral Shop and a lot of the New Dreams Limited stuff. There was a much cheekier usage of sampling and repetition where you sometimes felt like you were being played a prank on, like the artist was playing a prank on you. Whereas with Luxury Elite, and particularly that record, I felt like sampling and repetition was used to create a world that you just lived in. And she had such a knack of finding 8 bars of a song that you could just listen to for 10 or 15 minutes at a time. I think that record is maybe less than 20 minutes long, but I could put it on repeat for hours. And I think that she also had a command of the visual language of vaporwave earlier than pretty much anyone else. So any album cover that I made from, Triumph International on was basically ripping off Luxury Elite and what she did on her first 3 records, but particularly the third. So those two would very easily be my picks for the essential classics.
And now from Catsystemcorp.
Alrighty. First of all, Happy New Year, everyone. I hope we're gonna make a great year. Wish you all lots of health and happiness and vaporwave. Yeah, okay, let's hope we make a great year. The world's crazy enough, Let's see. So from my list, an absolute classic in my book is the album Market World by Shopping World JP, like Shopping World Japan. I would say that it's Japanese and it translates to Shopping World. It's an album on Luxury Elite's label Fortune 500, which was released in 2013, March 7, so a little bit after my 24th birthday, I'd say. Yeah. Also around the time when I found Vaporwave, if I'm not mistaken, a little bit before. So this was also one of the first albums I ever found. And yeah, I don't know, as soon as you start to play track number 1, City Strut, you immediately know, like, oh, this is going to be good stuff. It really has that early vaporwave sound. You could almost call it proto Malsoft. think about old computer games, Encarta, like educational software, kind of like those kind of tunes. Great album. Has been released on tape, but I don't know which label that did it. Cannot find it right away, so someone will have to where to see it here. That's Pizza Box Society, but that's not the one I mean, I think. Oh, maybe Pizza Beast. Interesting. It is Pizza Box Society. Okay. I had no clue, but I have that cassette. It's a great album. Check it out.
This is Eric Hughes from Sly Vinyl Records and the FutureSounds team, and my pick for the all-time Vaporwave classic is possibly the earliest example of Vapor Trap, Blank Banshee's Zero, which set the stage for the vast variety of subgenres to come. If you're like me, you may have heard the track Teen Pregnancy in the Simpsons Wave video Sunday School by Lucian Hughes. No relation. My favorite tracks off the album include Teen Pregnancy, Photosynthesis, Hyper Object, and Dreamcast. Fun fact about the track Dreamcast, it primarily features samples from his own previous work, specifically the track Resistor, off the eponymous album Shinjuku Mad.
Now let's hear from Aldo, Groove Remote.
Check. Alright, it's Groove Remote here, talking classic Vaporwave albums. I think one of the records that really got me hooked on Vaporwave was Rich Isolation by Nothing. Houston-based, I think, Texas-based for sure. Rich Isolation came out August 19th in 2018, I think. August 9th, and it was released on Aqua Blanc Records. Just really great album. That cover is, I want a poster of that. It looks so good. You've got the statue, the cityscape, the greenery, the little bonsai tree. I feel like the visuals really matched the album. And you've got everything from those Paul Hardcastle samples, just those really hard-hitting drums. You have the Freddie Jackson sample as well. I think that if I had to pick my favorite track, I'd have to pick, all of them. And, that's not just because I don't know how to pronounce any of these or the names of them because of the Japanese characters, but it really just set a tone, I think, like a consistent tone the whole way through from start to finish. I'm not sure in classics wise where it falls with, the hit vibes and the 2814 and all that, but I feel like if anyone hasn't listened to this, really, really great pick. Also, it's got some ties to City Man Productions, the now defunct Finnish label, who actually put out my first project. Really great music, really great samples. I think we actually had the pleasure of playing together here at an event I put on, and I believe that may have been his first and last live performance. Really great album. If you haven't listened to it, I think you should check it out.
FutureSounds. Nice one.
Okay, so we're probably
structure.
This is good. I like it. I like doing it this way in some respects, like having voice notes. I think it's quite
planning.
Good. Yeah, planning. I think that might be the thing. Well, why don't we move on to the modern classics? Because I guess that's kind of how we found ourselves here. Because I remember bringing this up last year when Dan Mason had recorded a hot take for that podcast, and he talked about his sort of feelings about decline in the scene. Like, it wasn't that he didn't want to make the music or that the scene wouldn't exist anymore, but he felt like it had passed its peak. And I think that mirrors the way a lot of people feel about it. It's not necessarily the way I feel about it, though, and I know that some of us on this call kind of agree with that. And I think that there are modern classics out there, and we're going to go on to say the ones we think kind of hold up and why. So Rob kicked off last time. Thom, do you want to kick off this one?
So when you've been talking about that, I think there's this idea that people are saying there aren't any modern classics. I think, like, reflexively, I want to be like, yeah, there are. And you kind of have to take a step back and think, like, okay, like, produce some evidence, like a gut feeling is like, surely there must be modern classics, but it does require some thought. And I think there's like two kind of areas where like classics are easy to find. So in the kind of more ambient kind of slush wave side of things, it appears to be in pretty rude health. And it kind of at the sort of vanguard of all that, I would say Desert Sand, he's younger than most practitioners of this stuff. He's kind of almost a generation younger, really. I think he's a very, very sophisticated and older than his years Gen Z, but Gen Z nonetheless, I think. My pick would be Desert Sand Feels Warm at Night, Dream Desert. That's desert, not dessert. And reason I chose it is because it's incredibly ambitious, and lengthy tracks, really, really detailed, kind of evocative ambient stuff, really, really kind of takes you out of where you are and takes you somewhere else. And it's, pretty challenging music in some ways, and also very easy and accessible music in other ways. That's kind of like the best ambient music kind of juggles those kind of two poles, I guess. And with this like music that would appear to be fairly niche, he's reached a massive audience, really. So I think that's a pretty strong...
And was very good live.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So sort of like, his he's kind of like a surprising artist in so many ways, kind of bucking all kinds of trends and stuff. So that's why I think he's a good candidate for a modern classic artist, and that record in particular, Dream Deserts.
His performance at our Future Sound event, I want to say 18 months, 2 years ago, was so unique.
Yeah.
We had people
sat on the floor, weren't they? Yeah.
Sitting on the floor and enjoying it. It was, I remember leaving that event thinking that was possibly my favorite event that we'd done at any point. It was fantastic.
Nice. I feel like that was one of my favorite events I'd been to, because I played quite early and my stress was over. We knew the tickets had sold quite well. It was a small venue. And it was just that kind of, everyone had played like a ravey set. Like you boys as Donalens had played quite garagey. I'd played like old school, like hardcore jungle and vapor breaks and stuff. And then you had this kind of, everyone sat on the floor like in a chill out room kind of vibe, just listening to the sermon of Desert Sands. It was just a beautiful experience. It was something else.
It was religious.
Yeah, well, I mean, you could tell by the reaction of some of the people who were watching it that it would have been close to that kind of spiritual experience that people would get from that kind of music. You can trace the slush wave stuff maybe back to things like 2814's Birth of a New Day.
Yeah. They're from the same family tree.
Yeah. And in some respects, some slush wave fans would kind of deny the direct linkage, not the linkage with vaporwave, but they would say that they're a genre in their own right at this point, and that's possibly fair too. So maybe there'll be people who push back and say that that's not a legitimate modern vaporwave classic because it's not vaporwave. But I think vaporwave has always been a collection of subgenres kind of held together loosely by this thread, and that thread is nostalgia. And
Yeah, it's always had an ambient wing as well. I think Echo Jams is so washed out that it's arguably an ambient record, a very unsettling one. But
yeah, 100%.
But yeah, just like a brief mention. So this is not an endorsement. What do you say on Twitter? You know, retweets aren't an endorsement. But just in terms of, you know,
you're about to distance yourself from Barber Beats, are you?
Yeah. But like, so I mean, I guess the kind of context of what Dan Mason's kind of point was that, you know, he was kind of one of the artists who was, you know, kind of a professional vaporwaver, you know, seemed to be making his career from, you know, making this kind of music. And because there's been sort of a decline in you know, sales and popularity and other things to kind of come along, you know, that's kind of where some of this kind of sentiment comes from. But, you know, Desert Sand has bucked that trend, and Barber Beats has bucked that trend for sure as well. So I'm thinking about things like there's definitely some Macro Blank records and Micro Mecha records as well.
Slower pace.
Yeah, slower pace, and things like Oscob's Sun God, is that what it's called? Something like that. Tales of the Sun God, maybe. Just yeah, but these records with, you know, a visual hook, you know, cool artwork, kind of seem to have triggered algorithms and seem to have kind of reached audiences via social media and stuff, and kind of, again, you know, like Desert Sand, maybe a younger audience as well, you know, a Gen Z audience, not a millennial one. So yeah, so there's definitely some Barber Beats contenders for modern classics for sure, if not, you know, vaporwave as we necessarily know it.
Praise the Sun God. Just the opportunity to clarify before someone tells us that we got that one wrong.
Probably him. He'll take great pleasure in clipping this up and making me sound very silly.
It's funny because Oscob is one of those people who kind of treads an interesting line online. You know, I choose my words carefully, but there's a kind of thread of the vaporwave scene that likes to be kind of trolly. Like, I don't think that they'd mind me saying that. But one of the nicest people to meet face to face, just a pretty gentle, kind bloke that kind of subverts the expectations you might have from them based on their internet persona. Because they were at one of our shows, were they not? No, that's right. They played the Aldo City show.
Yeah, same venue.
Yeah, same venue. Chris copied us there. I think Barber Beats is an interesting one. I think you can make a case for certain Barber Beats albums being classics. Not all of them put the same effort in as the likes of Death's Dynamic Shroud or Desert Sands. Some of it can feel quite lazy, but it's about the immersion in the experience and nostalgia, placing you in a time and place. I think that's where Barber Beats is very firmly almost like a throwback to classic OG vaporwave, which was just looping some slow jams. You could make that case. So it's kind of just almost like a reclaiming that space for it being less pretentious and less muso, perhaps. You might find some Barber Beaters arguing. I don't know.
Yeah, much needed.
Yeah, people like Donalens.
Yeah, fuck those guys.
Who?
They can play scales.
Never heard of them.
They're multi-instrumentalists, and there's no place for that in vaporwave.
I don't think we've demonstrated that for a while. We've just been making like very lazy songs.
Yeah, you've been making quite traditional.
Putting animals on the cover. So.
You're trying too hard now, guys. You're trying too hard.
I think we are overdue a Pinkbird second album, or are we not?
Yeah,
Oh,
come
Jesus.
on, guys.
Okay.
No pressure.
That's a good idea.
Can I drop mine in here then in terms of a modern classic, or at least my view on what potentially could be a modern classic based on what's in my brain?
Yeah, sure.
Do it.
So I think, and obviously this is all very much, you know, personal, individual, but I've gone with Late Arcane's Extravagance from, I believe, 2023. For me, it's the sort of vaporwave that I've always really enjoyed, but there's something about this album for me, and it's quite hard to explain, so I'll do it as best I can, given that I'm talking on a podcast. So give it a good go. It doesn't have that kind of wink to the listener of this is vaporwave and this is what vaporwave should be, and to your point about be it gatekeeping or kind of trying to stay in lane, it feels a little bit more like it's confident in the sound, and it's letting that sound do the work. You know, a lot of the music, like you say, is always leaning pretty hard on that nostalgia, and that's fine, that's great. And I think it's, you know, it's clearly created a number of music genres that we all talk about quite regularly, but it's quite controlled, it's modern, it feels deliberate, and I think there's something, even when it's sort of being flashy, it knows it's not trying too hard to be a vaporwave album for me. Yes, there's sampling, yes, it's the exact sort of part of the vaporwave scene that I really enjoy, but kind of what stands out is it holds together really well as an album. It's a good collection of songs that, for me, you know, you could shuffle them, you can play them in order, and it's that kind of, there's a sense of momentum, and there's that kind of ongoing kind of rich palette of mood and pacing, which is kind of there throughout. And I think that, for me, is always what I've enjoyed about the good albums of the genre, that yes, they're challenging, but there's something where you've got good pace, good mood, and you can play it whenever you feel like playing it, and it'll fit your kind of mood and where you are at that time. And I think, to the point you were saying earlier on about artwork as well, for me, Extravagance, it's got some great sort of there's some great artwork on there, but if you strip that away and you maybe took away all the references, it still stands up for me as a really solid electronic record, you know. And I think that's that point where it stops feeling like a seam release and feels like something that can last. And I think that's kind of, for me, what I was trying to think of when we're looking about these modern classics. I don't want something that just stands at a certain moment in time. I don't know whether people would agree with me, and it's not a massively known album, but at the same time, for me, it feels like it was hitting those buttons that I really, really enjoyed, but it wasn't trying to be something from before. It was trying to be its own thing, and it is trying to be its own thing.
This was released on Business Casual, right? I've heard this album a few times. Yeah, I loved it as well. I think it's a great pick, and they're also really good live. Whenever you see them on the live stream shows, fantastic sets. I think that's like a perfect example of it, because it's almost like it's not like embedded to, it's not owing any debt to the early tropes of the genre, but it somehow feels part of that same family tree, which is pretty fucking diverse at this point. I mean, no one mentioned Home Odyssey in that, because you could argue, is that a chillwave album? Is it a synthwave album? Is it a vaporwave album? Like, you know, I don't know if they would subscribe to their albums being classified as of any genre, but there's that feeling that you get when you listen to it, and you kind of know it when you feel it.
No, but I think you make a good point though, Enzo, because for me, it's, you know, there is so many of the albums or the releases that you could quite easily pass people by, that just become another square on your Bandcamp collection. And this particular album has always been one that, despite what's been just under 2 years it's been out, I've kept going back to it, and therefore it's kind of that's what made it stick in my head as for me, a modern classic.
Nice.
It's a great pick.
Nice.
Should I jump in with mine?
Yeah, go on, Rob.
The water is warm. Jump in.
The water is warm. Well, it's a bit orcs actually, because we're blowing a lot of smoke up Desert Sands bum tonight, because I also picked Desert Sand Form sort of night, as did one of our listeners, Yeetus. But I picked New World Disciples 2021. It's kind of esoteric, but at the same time sort of gloriously lush slush wave. And again, like, I don't know if we mentioned it or not, but he doesn't use samples, tends to not use samples anyway. So the voice you hear is Desert Sand's own. I love the richness. It does feel quite spiritual, like we were talking earlier about the live experience that we all witnessed. And I think it was made around periods of his depression. The track Let Your Soul illuminate him with the passion of 1,000 suns. It's got a lovely haunting saxophone solo, and it always reminds me of what someone once said about David Bowie, which is, if you hear a saxophone in one of his tracks, something's wrong, something's foreboding, or it's foreshadowing something, which kind of works in this context as well. And then the last track, Come With Us, sort of brings the listener back to sort of this sort of calm spiritual wonder. So and my favourite of the album is Follow Him, For He Is The One. I just could listen to that. It is kind of one of my like any genre favourites, let alone a kind of slush wave. So that would be my pick.
Can you tell, what was that title? Follow Him Or He Is the
Follow
One.
him for He Is the One. It's all in kind of
And
Japanese.
we're
except for on
surprised that
Spotify.
people were sat down listening to his set at FutureSounds.
There you go.
There you go.
This is making a lot of sense now. Am I part of a cult? And I didn't even
it's all
realise.
planned.
Yeah.
The jazzy shirts are quite sort of cult leader as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
If we stumbled across our Vaporwave Jesus.
If I was going to join
He's
a
the second
cult,
coming. He's a
I
naughty
think
boy.
I would follow Will. Because he's just got a nice way about
He wears
quietly charismatic.
He wears good shoes as well, like
Yeah.
the Heaven's Gate Nike trainers, you know.
Yeah.
Heaven's Gate.
Sensible shoes, warm and charismatic. Just a wonderfully handsome
There's
man.
nothing
just
Waco
like Heaven's
about him.
Gate.
I could take some poison and go for a nice long sleep.
The Vaporwave Waco we've uncovered.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And listener,
Oh, well.
reader, follower Yeetus also picked Desert Sandfield's Warm at Night, but translating it from Japanese, apparently it's Shropshire Views, and it's the best slushwave album of all time in Yeetus's opinion. Luscious and moving.
That WhatsApp message you sent me earlier on it finally made sense. You sent me a message which I haven't had a chance to read because we jumped on to record, and all I can see is Shropshire Views apparently.
Because
Was that meant for me? Was that meant for your mother-in-law?
Yeah, Yeetus put the Japanese original title, and I wasn't going to suggest pronouncing it.
I did mean to search it.
That's
for you,
okay.
but I was running out of time.
It could be wrong. Google translates the Shropshire Views.
Yeah. Just very quickly, Suop, who I mentioned in the OG Classics, there was a comment there for their modern pick would be VHS Lounge by VCR Classic. I saw their albums on my recommendations and got onto a binge. This one sticks out the most and I re-listen to it all the time. Other picks, deepdive.com by Webinar, which is a banger, and Paid Programming by Midnight Premiere, which I need to check out. I haven't checked that one out before. So thank you for that comment as well. Shall I jump in with mine?
Do it.
I kind of was toying with Peak Internet.
That's quite an underrated album, I think, isn't it?
Which is an
Has
album
anyone got
by-
a klaxon sound?
Yeah. Apparently, I bring this album up all the time about how surprised I am that it didn't sell out instantly because I think it's fucking brilliant. So yeah, mypetflamingo.com.
I have it on cassette tape.
By X-Waves.
It's a very underrated album.
It's amazing. Anyway, that's not my pick though. I think if people are saying there's no new classics, my take is that I think that's got a lot to do with their relationship with the music and nostalgia itself, like the way they feel about Vaporwave and the way they discovered it and when they discovered it. Because Vaporwave's about nostalgia, it's about reinterpreting the past, it's about reimagining it. It might have started with 80s slow jams, which made sense at the time because the people who were making it were kids in the 80s, or their parents were, and they were playing those tunes and they grew up with that music that they were recontextualizing. But like, what if your nostalgia was for a different time period, like the 90s or the early 2000s? Your music is going to sound different. And I think that's where the modern era of Vaporwave does provide plenty of examples of classics. It just doesn't sound like Diana Ross slowed down. It sounds nothing like classic Vaporwave to that end. So my pick is Pizza Hotline's Level Select. It's a perfect example of this. It takes me to a completely different place to other Vaporwave that I first discovered when I found the genre. It takes me to somewhere that I remember. Like, you can call it jungle if you want to be really reductive, but like, this album is full immersion, like into late night sessions playing Wipeout on your PS1, post-rave, stoner recuperation music. Like, when I hear this album, I feel like I'm floating on a bed of little fluffy clouds. Like Vapor Breaks, a bit like Barber Beats, Vapor Breaks are everywhere these days, which is perhaps even a reflection of the influence of this album because it blew up on YouTube. He wasn't the first to make Vapor Breaks tinged music with this kind of reference point, but it's a perfect Vaporwave album from the art to the execution. Like, I think this is an absolute banger. Like, we made stuff as 3-piece suites that might have come out before Level Select. B-Brains did an album of Jungle Breaks, which I can't recall the name of, but that's incredible as well. But I just think that if you are willing to move with the cycles of nostalgia and accept that new people, young people with different frames of reference are going to enter the scene, it's going to make music, it's going to lead to music rather, that makes you feel completely differently to that 80s influence stuff, and it's going to have different references, and it's going to become a different genre. And so it might not be Vaporwave anymore to you, it might not be the Vaporwave that you miss, but you can never like feel the way you felt when you first heard Floral Shop again. You have to kind of move with it, or just go and play those albums that you love. But I just think that as time goes on, Vaporwave could theoretically at least continue forever, because the cycles of nostalgia keep moving with us.
You're always going to be 20 years away
look
from
at Enrail. Look at Enrail. And
year.
How old's Enrail? He must be early 20s. Like, he's nostalgic for Skrillex. I mean, he's probably thinking, who the fuck is Diana Ross? Like...
to make us all feel very old.
I'm doing him down. I'm sure he knows who Diana Ross is, but you get the point I'm making, is that his whole era is post like mobile phone. It's early technology, like early internet technology. Like our childhood was analog. Like I grew up when the TV used to turn to was that holding screen where with the national anthem at the end of the night.
The little girl with the chalkboard or whatever.
Yeah,
that was it. Yeah, in like a really
stop broadcasting.
Yeah, very strange kind of set.
4 channels,
dolls and stuff. Yeah, four channels.
It's incredibly creepy.
I don't know where I'm going with this.
That BBC checkerboard thing. It's also very Vaporwave, isn't it?
It's very Vaporwave.
100%. But my point is
nostalgic.
Like if you draw the line out, I remember, like I'm one of the last people, and everyone on this call is probably of that last generation that remember the time before mobile phones and proper internet. And if you can, but the youngsters who are, if they are making Vaporwave today, they kind of have no experience of that. They're making tunes that resonate with their childhood and their memories, and so Vaporwave's going to change. It just might not sound like Vaporwave to you, and you might hate it, because it doesn't resonate with you, but it doesn't mean that classics aren't being made. I guess that's the point I'm making.
Yeah. I think age is really important, isn't it? Because it's like, I think we kind of fight against this a little bit by being record collectors and stuff, but like just as a broader trend, you have the strongest connection with music when you're a teenager or a young adult, and unfortunately we're not that anymore. I think the fact that we still engage with new music means that we're sort of like fighting against that a little bit more, and not just kind of falling into being passive listeners and just like listening to whatever algorithms kind of
that is such a good point,
slop up at you. But that's probably why people say, oh, there's no classics. It's like partially kind of tinged with us kind of, I don't know, finding that just like that kind of teenage connection with music where you're like, this is my shit. It's kind of harder to find that when you're older because life gets in the way.
Yeah, and I think synthwave and vaporwave are probably the first genres I discovered as an adult that I fell in love with.
Yeah,
because it was all I'm still obsessed with the Beatles. I still love the Beatles. I still love Britpop and
a little band called Oasis.
I still kind of have a really strong emotional connection with that music because I was a kid and I was going to the pub for the first time or going to gigs for the first time, and that's a different experience. Now, being older, like I feel disconnected from a lot of new stuff, but I do try to seek it out because you don't want to play the same playlist for your entire life, I guess.
Yeah, no, and I think kids like do still seek this out. Like it's so easy to have like a boomer take and be like, oh, everyone just uses algorithms and TikTok and stuff, and like consume short form content, and kids aren't interested in albums and stuff. Like it's always going to be cool as a teenager to discover obscure movies and discover obscure novels and albums and stuff. Like I mean, I work in education, and the cool kids, it's even cooler now because the majority of people are just eating up slop essentially, and if you want to sort of stand out or make yourself feel kind of older than you are and terribly sophisticated and stuff, you go and seek stuff out, and you kind of becomes a big part of your personality, I think. So I don't think that's ever going to die, people like seeking out slightly more challenging music or slightly longer form content.
Yeah, it reminds me of in my teenage years I studied film in college for my A-levels, so between for those not in the UK, sort of between sort of 16 and 18 years old. And I remember obsessing over the how cool it was to be. They were showing us post-war German misery movies that are just all about. And you know what? I was actually really enjoying them, but I took it was so niche, but I took a lot of joy in. I remember going home
in German misery,
speaking to friends and family about all these crazy sort of kitchen sink German post-war dramas, and my God,
they showed us Casablanca.
What an absolute asshole I was at the time, but I really enjoyed it though. It was great.
I think that's an important part of being a teenager, and then you can look back in a few years and sort of cringe on it a little bit, but also kind of 100%. Slightly fondly as well,
Take yourself a bit, seriously, and then laugh about it later.
Yeah. I think that's why I love Vaporwave, because I can be a teenager doing my MCing and my DJing still.
Oh, yeah.
I've got a latter-day chance to fulfill the dreams I had as just too young Pirate to play DJ. At the raves, and I only got to play on the Pirates a little bit just as they were kind of dying out, and all radio was going digital. It was kind of less of a special thing, a pirate station, by the time I played on it. But this is kind of a chance to immerse myself back in my childhood. I think that's why I love going back to my pick of Level Select. I think that's why I love that album. Yeah. Has anyone got any comments from listeners on the modern classic side of things that they haven't read out yet? Or should we go into and then we'll go into some voice notes.
I got another one from Yeetus, which is a modern one, which is 2024's Sleepless Nights After Hours, which I think came out on My Pet Flamingo, didn't it?
I think self-released first, but we did tapes.
Yes, you did. And Yeetus says it nails the slow jazziness of the 80s and 90s and features a lot of live instrumentation and gorgeous synth work.
Lovely.
Nice one, Yeetus.
Nice one.
Cool. I've got one from Nepo, who says, as far as new albums that I think are innovative, Internet Club's Format Blue and CRT Paralysis Slideshow are both signal wave projects that maintain the distinct genre mystery, where the music feels abandoned and singular, like audio ripped from an obscure educational PC game or someone's old LG flip phone. Pretty cool.
I love that. Thank you for that comment. Yeah, we had some great comments. Aesthetic. People took a lot of time. We had a lot of people just listing albums, and it certainly enabled us to, because I did post them all in, so we've all had a chance to kind of go and search the ones that we hadn't heard. But there were people who also took the time to explain their personal connection with the album, and that's kind of special, hearing other people's relationship with the music. I think that's what Vaporwave's all about, your connection with these albums and how they make you feel. That's what makes them classic to you. So thank you. Should we take some more voice notes from the team?
And then let's go to the
left field
day.
Hey, what's up, guys? Jay here. Happy New Year, and hope you all had a wicked time over the holidays. Here's my 3 picks. I'm going to go for classic OG album. I'm going to pick Luxury Elite World Class. I just keep coming back to this album. If I ever want to listen to something real classic, Vaporwave, it's always my go-to, my number one choice. Modern day, I'm going to pick Tupperwave with Grocery Store Sunset. There's not much more I need to say about it. It just absolutely bangs. The artwork's amazing, and it's a modern day classic. And for my left field out there choice, I'm going to go for Virtua by Trendy. I think that's how you say it. I was blown away when I first heard this album. It reminds me of eyewitness documentaries, DK learning games, that kind of thing. Is real transporting, nostalgic, beautiful stuff. Wicked, sweet.
Now back to Catcorp.
We're going back to the year 2019. July, what is that, 5 months before we got the first word of a new virus in China. So it was the last summer we could be outside and do stuff, and the world hadn't gone crazy to keep it polite on the podcast. It's an album by Steviosphere, and it's called Steviosphere's Interconnected Art Gallery. Now, I must mention, I was first want to go with Pool Water Blue, which I also released on my label, but even though I love that album to death, Interconnected Art Gallery has a very interesting song on it, and you have to play it. It's called That's Not Vaporwave. The lyrics are brilliant, because I don't know if you remember, but around that time people would post pictures on Facebook or Reddit and ask like, oh, is this Vaporwave? Is this Vaporwave? I don't know if you guys were there, but it was a super annoying meme. It wasn't even a meme, it was just a stupid joke. And I got so tired of it. And also there's this whole discussion like, oh, is it Vaporwave or not? And what is Vaporwave to you? What does it mean? What is it? Some people trying to gatekeep, and then 2814 came out, Telepath and HKE, and the album Birth of a New Day. And people said, that is not Vaporwave. And now fast forward a couple years later and they say, oh, that is Vaporwave. So the lyrics, it's about that. It's I want you to listen to them. I'm not going to spoil them. So it's pretty cool. She makes great music. She sings on it, makes everything herself. So it's like sample free. And in my humble opinion, that track, That's Not Vaporwave, should be almost like an anthem of those years, around 2019. And I listened a lot to Steviosphere during lockdown, so yeah, she has a special place in my heart. Then we will go to number 3, the cult classic. It's called Lego Castle 1979 and 1998 by Dreamcastle. And I think a lot of people know this, and a lot of people will say that is a modern classic, or it is a classic. Some people might say that is not Vaporwave. Well, actually, it has been tagged as Vaporwave on Bandcamp, so it's a blend of Vaporwave and Dungeon Synth. Recent years, I got very interested in Dungeon Synth, and got even a couple of records and CDs, and I still hope to catch a live festival one day, but they appear to be only in the UK, America, and sometimes Netherlands. And if they play here in the Nordics, then I cannot go. I miss them. So this album it's a great gateway to like a more Dungeon Synthy sound, or for Dungeon Synth people, you would say it's like a gateway to kind of like retro wave, vaporwave kind of music. About this album, there is a whole video for it, like complete film they made in it says here 80s cheap fantasy VHS. Oh, I guess you can hear my cat in the background meowing. That is fantastic. I will let that little kitty cat in. Yeah, come down. Great, now we're complete. Alrighty, so yeah, it has spoken word. It has like a story that's being told, and it has references to all these Lego sets. Like it even lists the numbers, and you can see the Black Falcon's Fortress and Forest Man's River Fortress, Supply Wagon, Horse Cart. And I really think I even have some of these sets, because it's 1998 and I got into Lego when I was 3 or 4, and I remember having some of those older sets when the boxes were still yellow instead of the more modern colors. So yeah, this is great. This steps right into it. And I bought the last cassette from the Tidal Charm at Slushwave Festival last year in Kortrijk, Belgium, and I'm really happy to have it. And if you don't know it, then watch the film they have. It's on YouTube. You find it so easily. Just Dream Castle, Lego Castle, and you have to check it out. It's really cool. I think they even had a live what's that called, a screening with all the actors and artists and an audience. It's really cool. It would be fun to have that in cinemas or something around the world. So those are my 3 picks. I wonder if anyone agrees with them or if someone doesn't know about them. And I hope I shown them something new. Like, I can really recommend these albums. They're really great. Alrighty, that was it for me. That was my saying. Thank you for having me. It's been a pleasure. That was what I'm about to say, as always, but again, it has been a pleasure. And catch you guys next time.
This is Eric Hughes from Sly Vinyl Records and the FutureSounds team, and my pick for Vaporwave cult classic could be considered proto-vaporwave, cloud rap, and even hip-hop beats. But one thing is for sure, Friendzone's Collection 1, released in 2012, was well ahead of its time. Friendzone has a lot of the same DNA and ethos that defines modern vaporwave: microsampling, Japanese aesthetics, and boundary-pushing beats. Collection 1 features tracks produced for mainstream artists including A$AP Rocky and Main Attractions. Favorite tracks include Follow Me, Perfect Skies, Chutch, and Major. And while the Friendzone project has since been retired after the sudden and tragic passing of James Lawrence, R.I.P., the surviving member, Dylan Resnick, is still producing amazing music under the new moniker, Chlorine Mist.
Future Sounds.
I love the way you do that. Not like, I'm not saying I love the voice. It sounds great. Don't get me wrong. It's very nice.
I can do it as much as you want.
We're mixing it up. That was Larbs and it was me before.
That was me.
Oh, is it not? It's not been... Okay, I thought it was Larbs every time.
It's not been the same person.
No.
Wow, you guys have really nailed it.
That was my first one.
I don't know how I feel about this.
You sound just like
Yeah, you're all doing impressions of my wife. It's very strange.
Yeah, it's weird. Does it make you feel funny inside?
Yeah, I need to make sure I sleep in the right bed tonight.
Goes to the rural.
Tom's going to go and sit in the wardrobe and stare through the keyhole whilst listening to voice notes of Larby going, Future Sound.
No, I think I'm gonna.
I think that's too much. We've gone too far. We've crossed the line.
Well, I'll fade out all this stuff.
We've kind of covered off some of, and yeah, don't forget the sorry.
Don't forget the what?
Did you ever so we've kind of covered off the OG classics, bearing in mind the disclaimer that we put out at the beginning, which is that we are going to have missed quite a few of the albums that you love, obvious picks and stuff, but you know, we tried to pick one each. We've covered some of the modern classics and sought to in some ways dispel the notion that there are none. And we also thought it would be a good idea to pick some more left field picks, maybe some cult classics, stuff that kind of goes under the radar a little bit. Just our own personal recommendations for things that we've fallen in love with. So yeah, why don't you kick us off this time, Fakeman?
All right, so this one's actually probably quite well timed because I've just poured myself a lovely little sherry cask whiskey. And
here we go.
My left field pick. So for me, with this one, it was more about, well, as it is a lot of the time, but for me, this was about mood and listening to music that can help you either relax more or put you in a relaxing mood or hype you up, whatever it might well be. But I'm a huge fan of waterfront dining, and as we know, hugely prolific. But my pick specifically was the album with Waterfront Dining, Catsystemcorp, With Love. And the reason for this is because this is genuinely my go-to album when I want to relax. The pacing, the overall mood, makes it easy to settle into without having to think too much about it. Now, for me, as we've discussed at length here with people's choices, Vaporwave can be really challenging, can be uncomfortable, and sometimes a lot of that is deliberately so. But with this record, it feels like the complete opposite. It's about that immersion rather than the tension, if that makes sense. So when you put it on, it's not gonna demand anything of you. When you're in there, it's on, and it's just gonna hold you in that space that it kind of presents itself to you. The track that kind of stands out quite a lot for me is, and one of the ones I often has been my favorite in the many hundred times that I've played it, is Spark. And again, it's simple and understated, captures for me exactly what that album for me is about. The melody, that kind of, it's detailed enough to kind of keep you interested without it feeling too busy. And for me, the whole album sort of flows naturally, nothing's forced. And, the samples that create this kind of consistent, reassuring atmosphere. So it's quite a personal pick for personal reasons. It's not necessarily about picking something which someone goes, oh wow, yeah, I hadn't thought about that. For me, it was a case of, what do I go to when in a genre that challenges you or can make you feel a huge varying levels of emotion depending on what you listen to? What's the one that I just like to go to relax? And for me, Waterfront Dining and Catsystemcorp with Love is exactly that album.
It's an amazing pick. It's a great album. When we did the vinyl, it was one of my favourite Waterfront Dining albums. Like, it's no secret that without Waterfront Dining, there would be no My Pet Flamingo, because we released Noise on Time Slave, and it did so well, and we fell so deeply in love with Vaporwave around that time that we just had to kind of, so that we could maintain the flow of putting records out regularly, we had to set up a whole different channel for it, and that's how My Pet Flamingo came about. It was because of Waterfront Dining, it was because of Noise, it was because of Swag, and that album, the split album with Jornt, Catsystemcorp, is a banger, an absolute banger. And it is exactly what you say, isn't it? It's like, it's background music in the classic Vaporwave style. And I think it's quite a well-known album, but it's probably like not in the top 10 most named. I think it's well known.
Exactly that.
But it's just about how you feel about it. And I think my feeling is that Noise does the same. I have the same relationship with Noise that you have with Love. And I think it's a great pick. And I'm glad you mentioned it, to be honest with you, because I've got the record right here, and I think I'm gonna have to stick it on after we finish.
Who's next?
Mr. Thom?
All right. My pick has got a whole load of kanji in it, but I think the artist name was Visa Prepaid, and the record was called Smooth Oceans, and I think it was an alias of Terrell Davis, who is better known for their visual art, and they sadly passed away a few years ago as well. They were like a really prolific visual artist, but this musical contribution, it's a Vaporwave album released in 2013. It's like the first or one of the first Vaporwave records I heard, and it's got amazing artwork, like a beach with like a vinyl record sticker, and then a big old Visa logo on the front, which I always like, kind of sort of anti-corporate naughtiness in Vaporwave. I always like that kind of stuff. Like just in general, I like kind of bootleggy things, and this is that. And obviously the music is bootleggy as well, because there's, it does things with Daft Punk samples and stuff. And my favorite is the outro track, which is called Ogasawara on the album, and it samples SWV's Rain, which is like one of my favorite R&B
I loved
tunes,
SWV.
primarily because of the water drop snare drum sound, and that sounds great in the SWV track, of course, but slowed down and vaporwaved out, it's like the best sound ever. So yeah, that's my pick, and rest in peace Terrell Davis.
Yeah, rest in peace, man.
I think it's an alias of theirs. So that's what it sort of shows up on Discogs and stuff. But on the Bandcamp listing, it says credits to Terrell Davis for creating this album cover. He has worked with me lots. I love him. Which is
it's
just funny.
Giveaway.
But I'm pretty sure it actually was made by him as well. So yeah.
It's a nice little segue into my pick as well, if you don't mind, because I've I discovered this album kind of doing research for the film. I've got a quick brief mention. I was really toying between two albums, but I'll name my pick first, but I want to do an honorable mention as well. So I don't think anyone knows who Contact Lens is to this day. But if you talk to an OG from the scene, they all say that they were super influential. I think Chaz might have turned me on to Contact Lens when we interviewed him about SPF, that whole era. They certainly played then. But they're pretty hard to find out much information about, going on 14 years, because this album was originally released in 2012. So it's Contact Lenses, Ice in the Veins. It's pretty hard to find their music these days, but there is an archive on Bandcamp which seems to have been created by fans. And I think, Ice in the Veins is on there amongst a whole ton of other material. So it's pretty hard to pick one, but this one was the one that stood out for me. And I think this one's important because it's partly the fact that it's so many artists have said it was a direct influence on them, like that first wave of artists who started making Vaporwave back in the day. But also the album's just packed full of bangers. You could even argue that it's one of the first examples of vapor trap, like as a subgenre, like an album where the mood is more important than the concept. It's more about the tunes sounding good and feeling good. So 100% it's worth checking out Contact Lens. Well, like I said earlier, we'll put links to these albums because this is like contactlensarchive.bandcamp.com, so it's like not even easy to find. I don't think their own Bandcamp page has probably long since been dissolved, if they ever made it to Bandcamp, because Bandcamp came a couple of years later than 2012, I think. My other honourable mention is another artist who I believe passed away some years ago is Napoleon, and it's an album called Rejoice. And randomly I came across this years ago because I remember seeing the cover, and it's got a lot of samples, but it's also got original composition in there. There's some breakbeats in it, some funny time signatures. It's like a fun 6-track album. And I stumbled across it somehow, and I don't even remember how I came across it. But randomly there was still a couple of records on sale, and I picked up the second last one, and there's still one copy of this record. So if anyone checks it out after listening to this, there's one copy of this record left, and it's from 2013. It's wild to me that this is still available to buy.
Still knocking about.
Yeah, and it's fucking amazing. And I don't know how I've not really ever got stuck right into this until the last couple of weeks. Like, I know I've come across this album before. It's super familiar to me. The artwork's iconic. It's got the kind of, are they Corinthian pillars? Is that what they're called? The ones with the curls at the top, or is that Doric? I remember Doric, Ionic, and Corinthian pillars. Learning about that in history.
Sounds about right.
Anyway, Napoleon and Rejoice. That's another cult classic. I suppose both of my picks have been
up that album.
Semi-OGs, but I reckon, within a few days. Because it's had one copy left for the last 2 weeks, and my copy arrived yesterday in the post. I bet you that one's
done
gone
them a solid. Someone will snap that now.
Buy that copy, because it's an amazing album. That's my cult classics. I had 2.
You
Greedy.
Cheeky so-and-so. I'm going to finish up with mine because I also need a wee. I chose.
Thanks for the peer behind the curtain there, Rob. Why don't you do what?
Sharing that with the class.
Why don't you do that
behind the curtain so far?
Why don't you do what professional podcasters do, and you have a glass or a big bottle?
Oh. I've only got one of those little stubby bottles of beer.
Just
I got a sink in my room.
If only you had a sink.
Look on that Reddit. I went really modern. I took the left field quite literally, cult left fieldy, and I went for Shima 33 Type Beat from 2025. Shima 33 is obviously in the upcoming Nobody Here documentary. He's well known, vaporwave dude, plays with different guises and influences. But this one draws somewhat on hip hop culture, which was my first love. So the samples start off really jazzy, a big boom bap beats, and then goes brazenly tongue in cheek with Phil Collins and Philip Bailey's classic Easy Lover sample on Believe It. And then Too Close samples Maxi Priest's Close to You, but makes it sound really scary and stalky and dark. And then Sepia, you're suddenly in the Western. It's all over the shop, but in a good way. And then inexplicably at the end of the album, it's a big fat house tune. So Present Company excluded, of course. Tight Beat was probably my surprise favourite album of 2025. I think people have really slept on it, and so I'm glad I belatedly discovered it myself. So nice one.
Oh, that's a good pick.
That's efficient. There's a man who wants to pee.
There's a man who needs to urinate.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add on the wider subject before you relieve yourself from your podcasting duties?
I can hold on if there's if there's not too much longer. We started a bit late as well, I guess.
Is that another little dig at me being late?
Yeah. I mean, haha. No. No, but I shouldn't have drunk a big beer and a glass of water at 8 o'clock. But no, it's this has been a good exercise, hasn't it? In digging deep in the crates of some classics and some moderns. It was good going through my own Bandcamp page and kind of going way back. What have I bought?
It's really hard though, isn't it? Isn't it hard to try and narrow it down to just one or two albums?
Yes, very. It took me ages, and I think, but I agree, Rob. I really enjoyed going back through my collection, and I scrolled right down to the bottom, and then worked my way upwards, and was in the process of the bottom of the sink, in the process of this, allowed myself to then rediscover stuff that I didn't pick or that became a close second or third in my list that I've been enjoying listening to for the last few days because of this. It's been great.
Yeah, it's kind of made me, ever since we had the idea for the episode, and I was kind of thinking about how we'd structure it, how we would kind of get the best out of the idea, it's made me kind of accidentally, indirectly, fall back in love with some of the music I hadn't listened to for a while.
Yeah.
Stuff that's been in my Bandcamp, kind of buried by new purchases and stuff. But which, the stuff that you can only fall in love for the first time once, lads, as I often say on this podcast.
But something is brand new to somebody. Even a really old German misery movie is brand new to somebody once.
I'll send you the VHS.
Please, can you?
Speaking of VHSs being sent out, I'm going to bury this deep in the back end of this podcast, but we're releasing Nobody Here soon.
Are you?
Never heard that.
Well. We are releasing it in April. Yeah, it's going to be released in April. We're going to do a cheeky little pre-order for people who didn't take part in the first crowdfund back in the day when we first kind of launched the project, so that people can get hold of physical copies, which will then be shipped to everyone, with the priority obviously being those people who backed us in the first place. They'll probably get a slightly different copy so that it's a little bit kind of marks them out as OG contributors to the project. But we're gonna broaden the availability of the film in physical form from February, and we're going to release the film in full in April. We're going to do one, maybe two kind of proper like events where we show the film in a cinema. Unfortunately, we can't get everywhere, but we'll try and get one and maybe two in America, one maybe two in Europe at most, kind of premieres of the film in the summer this year. But yeah, we've pretty much finished it. It's just about kind of tidying up the visual aspect. The story's locked now, and we're really happy with it. We took on board a lot of feedback that came from the screening that we did in the summer, and I think like people who've seen the latest edit, I know everyone on this call's seen that. It feels slick, and it feels a bit more like what we were hoping for in the first instance. And it's a good feeling to kind of park this project, I think.
It looks wicked. Well done. It's amazing. It's going to be better than Rise of the Synths was when that landed in that genre. It's
It took about as long to make though, right?
Yeah, it took about as long. But no, it's quality. You've done a great job. Aesthetically, it's beautiful. Good narrative as well. I like Larby talking about the 9/11.
Do you know what? I wasn't going to bring that up. But,
Can we have no spoilers, please?
No, lovely. Oh, in terms of classics, I missed somebody else out. Nighttime Cat said the best album of all time for them would be Windows 96, specifically 100 Mornings. They can't try to even explain the feelings and pictures that this album manifests in them. There you go.
I'm going to throw one more in as well. Mr. Lonely, the Atmosphere series by Echo Virtual, particularly Morning Haze on the first album, was what helped me finally understand what the genre is about. Before that, I'd listened to Floral Shop and enjoyed it, but I was still overwhelmed by all the established, seemingly random aesthetics. With Echo Virtual, I was taken back to the vast liminal landscapes of old video games and the strange hauntology that I felt reading the back of unplayed PC puzzle games at Office Depot.
Ooh.
I like that.
That's
I'm glad you did that, because I think that was worthy of a read out. So
yeah, sort of shames our own contributions, really.
Yeah.
That
we
little
should
comment there,
hand over the keys.
That little comment there by Mr. Lonely. Yeah, that was a lot better than anything any of us said. So we'll just stick that at the front and
stick that at the top.
Give them the password.
Add some reverb.
They can do it. Very impressive.
Yeah. No, tongue in cheek. Thank you everyone who commented. Thank you to everyone for listening. We're going to play you out with a few voice notes from other special guests telling us their favourite classic vaporwave albums of all time, and we will see you soon for another episode. We're going to do something similar for the synthwave genre, because I know quite a few of us are massively into our unashamedly pro nostalgia
Tom's going to duck that one
synthwave stuff. Yeah, we probably won't have Tom on that one.
I might want to.
Because Tom, you don't like synthwave, do you?
I like Mitch Murder.
There we go. He's on. He's in.
Please show.
But I do hope that those listening, if you, and we'll obviously link in the albums and tracks that we've been talking about, but I do hope that people go and have a bit of an explore and enjoy that as much as I believe we've all enjoyed pulling this together, because it has been great. It's been really good fun. Been a great few days and weeks of looking at this. So yes, I hope everyone goes out and discovers something new or rediscovers something they've forgotten they loved, as you said, Vince.
Or rediscovers some classics that the comments hammer us for saying, why didn't you mention X and why didn't you mention Y? So you'll probably find better tunes to listen to from the comments telling us what we missed. So, but that's what it's all about. It's your own personal feelings about these albums. And yeah, there's been old classics, there's new classics, there's cult classics. It's all vaporwave, baby.
And Reebok classics.
Hey.
He's here all week. Right.
He's here.
This is Saint Pepsi. You're listening to FutureSounds FM.